Hey, hello, hello, hello. And do I got something? I was just eating some yogurt. Not sure it's still in my beard. But welcome to Korean Natural Farming Office Hours, Sunday, 9 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time, and it's 9 a.m. here with Master Cho in the background, Pure KNF Foundation, and want to thank you for joining in November 13th, 2022. And let's get started with a little bit of higher wisdom. Today's is deliverance. So, a change in attitude delivers you from difficulties. The hexagram hisse signals the beginning of deliverance from danger, tensions, and difficulty. The I Ching instructs you here on both the cause of deliverance and how you must act in order to fully benefit from it. Deliverance is always caused by a change in our attitude. The higher power uses conflicts and obstacles to teach us lessons that we refuse to learn in an easier way. But they only darken our doorstep until we have acknowledged the lesson. So long as we ignore or resist the difficulty, it remains our constant companion. As soon as we accept the presence as a sign of some self-correction is needed, our deliverance begins. Truly, the only way to dispel trouble and regain peace of mind is to change our attitude. The I Ching also teaches us that we have several responsibilities once our deliverance begins. The first is to forgive the misdeeds of others. The image of the hexagram is that of a powerful rainstorm washing away what is unclean. This then is a time to clean every slate and begin anew, meeting others halfway with gentleness and patience. Next, we are advised to restore our inner balance and see that it is maintained. Deliverance offers us a return to equanimity, and we must avail ourselves to the opportunity conscientiously. Finally, we are counseled not to try to force progress, even though the time is beneficial. If we have truly changed our attitude, we have become detached, innocent, modest, and accepting. In this state, we allow the progress to unfold naturally according to the will of the sage. So, good deliverance, good fresh clean slate, good time to recognize that any hardship we have is just some sort of lesson that we need to learn, and anything we're struggling with is just, it's the higher power being like, hey, school of hard knocks, so avail yourself to this opportunity. Thanks for being here to grow with us. Thanks for being here to wipe the slate clean of regenerative agriculture solutions that you can make at home, getting off the fertilizer chains that keep us bound, getting into the natural real world around you, the microbial secret society, the hidden microorganisms that keep us all alive. It's time for us to feel some deliverance, like we've made it. We've seen the truth, and we're headed in the correct direction. It's like the story of the ox with the Chinese New Year, right? The ox heard the sage call him, and he's like, I'm headed there now, to get the deliverance. And then even though the rat caught a ride with him, jumped off first, he was like, yeah, you can go first. So anyway, good stories here, good things. I'm glad you're here with us and checking in from all over the world. We got Finland in the house. We got Indiana in the house. We got uh, Spain. All and 808 Shibi. I assume you're somewhere in the islands. I don't know exactly where, but I'm assuming with a name 808 Shibi. Oh, bro, gotta be in the island somewhere. Um, and this guy right here, his name is Flat Eric. Wahiwa, what's up, Wahiwa? Yeah, bro, that's where it's at. Flat Eric, if you don't know about him, I got him much a long time ago. But here's a little let's see here, and transition this over this one here. Flat Eric. I got this guy back in 2005 maybe. And he's quite famous. But this is one of the things. He was built by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. So he's one of Jim Henson's like first prototypical puppets. And let me see here. I'm gonna change. Sorry, I didn't do this ahead of the time, but I am gonna change my mouse to be a little bit bigger here. Probably should have done it ahead of time, but there. It's always harder to use a bigger mouse, but at least now you can see it. So yeah, so Flat Eric, he was in a band, Mr. Oizo, and but yeah. So anyway, he's been hanging out for a long time, and he's been in a few movies and things. But he's fairly famous. In fact, yeah. So that's who he is. In case you didn't know, but if you tune in and check it out, he's a cool little doll, man. This not this guy, but I have two of them actually. This is my backup Flat Eric. He hangs out in the office, keeps watch. My primary Flat Eric is in my house. He hangs out on my couch, and he's been all over the world with me. We go road tripping. He's been up like I used to live in Montana, and he went to Portland, and he's wild. He likes to party. So give that creature anima to him. These days, I'm pretty old man here, doing my thing. So yeah, so good to check out everybody around the islands. Wahiwa in the house. And before I get into, I'm gonna continue to go over the Master Cho presentation today, but I did want to just quickly show you this, that Stonemason, who's in the house, he's here. He is making a 400-pound pile, he said. I think, what does it say? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no. I think, no. I'm not sure okay. I'm not sure how big of a pile. Maybe it looks like 200 pounds to me. But check this out. So he's actually doing it up in a storage bin type of thing, which is similar to what I have. I usually store my IMO in this, and I usually mix it on the ground because I have a bunch of soil, and also where I'm at, it's Hawaii, so like it's starting to get cold. He's in Indiana. I know it's cold up there right now. Just talked to my parents talked to my sister in Denver, and she said it was like 16 degrees or something, just crazy because it's winters they're coming, right? And but here in Hawaii it's like that's nice. It's I'm still in a t-shirt. I'm gonna go out and hang out, and but so doing it up like this, and then look, he has all this nice straw to put over it, and looking really good. I'm not sure if that's steam. He was saying that he was getting into this pile of IMO, but look at it just texturing the soil, and it's alive. It's doing its thing. Got this nice square shovel to turn it. And he was saying that he's been getting in it and actually like enjoying the sauna type of idea. And then look at these, there's the microbes, myceliating out, meaning that they're very healthy. There's enough food, and also starting to form the soil into these ball aggregates. And especially as this hay, or not hay, straw that he put on top of here is able to kind of interact with this and give it that extra carbon that it needs, and just looking amazing. I mean, look at that mycelia. So I know he's going to have, an amazing season next year when he puts this out. And, I'm not even sure, maybe put it out before winter, before the snow sets. If you did and you watered it in, it would be activated and all, I guess falls over, but take all those leaves and put the IMOs and really build up your soil foundation with this. And he says, yeah, it's steaming. So this picture it's steaming because he just turned it, and it's probably because it's cool, or it's so cold out that when you turn it, it's steaming. So, but look at that, man. I mean, what could be better on a cold winter day to get into your soil, your living soil, your microbes, and have all those come up on your body and just make it amazing for you. That's the reward of making IMO in the winter as a natural farmer. So yeah, and everyone around the world saying, "Good job, man! You're doing it. Really, it's cool to see, and it's cool that this technology, man. It's so wild that it came around the world all the way from Korea, thanks to Dr. Park, and bringing this stuff all over, and Master Cho sharing this with us and bringing it here, and now it's on the internet, and now it's in Indiana, and Master Cho always wanted this to be a global movement. He always called it Cho Global Natural Farming, and so it really, it's amazing to see. And I'm gonna pull up just a small video here of IMO bath, and I know you guys have probably seen this, but it's just a little short video here of Dr. Park talking about this. So I'll transition this back over, put this to this mode, and then I'll play this. And I think
the third one is up here.
So 3 times you said.
3 times.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes break, 10 minutes, 10 minutes break, and 30 minutes. So all together it will be the 17 minutes.
So you got in and got back out.
Yeah, suppose the first day we didn't even have the first break, and I was so hot.
How they keep you hydrated?
Well, you can drink some water.
In between
they have
the breaks.
salt water.
Yeah.
Salt water. Yeah, salt water. Just a little salty.
Yeah.
I wish they have some Pedialyte. That's even better. But it just put a little salt in the water. So we drink if it's thirsty. Anyway, after 10 minutes, it's kind of unbearable. And especially the heel is really hot. So they put some extra towel underneath before they started. And so I had to kind of, move a little bit this way, move that way. And I was trying to, how can I, endure this suffering?
You're hanging in there for
Dr. Memorize the Bible words.
Yeah.
Anyway, 10 minutes, and it's 10 minutes break will be really good. After the second day, I had the 10 minutes and then break for 10 minutes. And it was easier to go to the second one.
Okay.
The first day was really, really, I couldn't say what to do.
So did they overheat the IMO4? Or is that its natural
The
heat?
claim is that the heat from the IMO4 can go up to the 70 degree centigrade.
150 Fahrenheit. Yeah.
That is, the Master Cho told me the cancer cell can die on 45 centigrade. So you're way over that heat. However, if it is a hot water that's hot, 70 degree, or have electric, burning something, then you burn and you die.
Yeah.
But this microorganism heat is a fermentation heat, so that's a different kind of heat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a hot, but it's not, burn or
Right.
kill.
Yeah.
Kill our.
It's more like being in a sauna than or a
See,
steam room. So
Actually, Dr. Paul had a skin disease even on the face and the neck. Still, it doesn't have.
It's
show.
better. But if I definitely felt better, it's not completely gone. But the people who use this one is that farm families and their relatives.
and their relatives.
Yeah, it's not for the public
worldwide
because they don't. It's a very small. If they advertise, a lot of people will come, so they don't even have advertise. They just use word by mouth. They're doing just for the special for them because they're gonna use that one after we use to feed this quail.
Yeah, see, use it for the U and then use it for farming after.
Right. After.
Yeah.
That's true.
But the Master Cho's
70.
70 Celsius.
Yeah.
70 degrees.
It's
I
high.
didn't measure it, but that's what the Master Cho said.
hot.
It can go up to that high.
Yeah.
But I felt like a 70 degrees.
As long as it's coming out not compacted, because if it was compacted and touched you with that, it could actually burn you then. But if as long as it's fluffy still,
Yeah, that's right.
then there's enough air in there that you can moderate. Your body can moderate.
Less conduction than
Yeah, less
water.
conduction and more like a steam room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Saunas get up plenty hot.
Just-
Over.
But this is different because it's like against
just to
your
go back
body.
to the numbers real quick. So,
So that's Dr. Park talking about it, and hear him talk about the nice benefits of the IMO bath, and that's like the legendary old Cho Global, the people with the pure hearts that were really trying to spread this movement. That was like back when, I don't know, 2010 or ish, and God bless. You guys saw maybe Kim Chang there, bless her soul. Hopefully she's doing well where she's at, and the original people making natural farming happening. So Thomas was asking a little bit about worm farm. Not that it's natural farming, but I do happen to know a fair amount about vermicomposting. And the key,
Up here.
excuse me, the key is to put in not put more than 2 inches of food on top. So if you're trying to feed worms and you put too much thickness of food, it'll start to compost and heat up, and the worms can't get in there and eat it fast enough. So if you're trying to, you're trying to do vermicompost and it's not working, it's because maybe you might have made the layers too thick. So real thin layers, like inch layer at most. And let me just search my channel here. I don't have anything, but there's Dr. Norman Arancon is really good with vermicompost, and I learned a whole bunch from him. So see if you can find him, Dr. Norman Arancon, University of Hawaii, Hilo. And he, if it gets too hot, your worms will leave your bin. So you want to just make sure that it's very thin, the layers that you're feeding vermicompost. So with that, IMO baths, these things, this is the deliverance for us, right? You're going through this process, you're learning it in harder ways, but the benefits you reap are just amazing. So let's see here. I want to jump over here and get back into this Master Cho presentation here. So last week, I've been doing this presentation for a little while here. I'm at slide 38. And last week, the first week we went through all this, just review a little bit. You can go back to past episodes, knfsupport.com. Oh, and maybe before that, I should plug my class coming up, because there is one more space available to be here at the farm. So if you are interested in coming to KNF Farm here in Hawaii, staying with us for a week, learning all about these solutions, everything, knffarm.com here, knffarm.com. And you can sign up. There is one more spot to stay here in a nice cottage. Also, I got camping spots available, and where you can stay somewhere else and just take the class. Either way, but just did want to pump that too. I mean, just putting that out there. I'm really glad that got a good group of people already coming, and so it's worth my time and everything to like really get in. And I'm stoked that people are coming to tune in to really learn about this and get into it. So anyway, if you do want to join in, and also, you get an orange hat. This week, I'm not wearing my orange hat. I'm wearing my friend Spencer, and he's actually right here. If you look, if I can see him right there, Spencer and Yarrow is there, and Earl. Where's Earl at? I don't know. Can't see. I gotta zoom in. Where's Earl at? Oh, no, that's Yarrow there. And Earl's right up in front. There you go. So those three guys, the Royal Flush Farms out in Nissa, Oregon, right on the Idaho border. But they came out, they learned. They're so grateful. Spencer came, officiated our wedding, gave me this hat in exchange. But come get an orange hat, come learn, be part of the, the crew that knows what's up, and learn as best you can, because Master Cho's not teaching anymore, especially not out of Korea. And, I'm not, so, next best is, come here, learn, get a full immersion and more than you ever bargained for of just amazing stuff. And, so going through this presentation here of just talking about, the elements, how these things all fit together, how it all fits into a spirituality, how we're not that much different than plants, and then how the microbes make a difference, right? We talked about this, where I know I'm going through it fast, but this is kind of just a review here of, the microbes on the leaf surface, the microbes in the soil, the whole ecosystem actually working to create more fertility for you. And if you're able to get IMO seawater and just let the grass grow, they'll restore the soil automatic and make great aggregates like this. There's airspace coming in, and without that, it's all compacted, right? Especially if you've been tilling, herbiciding, chemical fertilizer, you've just compacted your soil. So as you make your soil better, the roots reach out, better things come in. Otherwise, it is all stunted like this, and there's excess nutrients that they don't need, and things can't move around, and your plant becomes really weak. Versus once you get the soil together, then your plant can reach its natural potential and grow better. And the whole key to that, again, is the IMO, which is what we're going to kind of cover today, getting into the IMO, what I call seed IMO. And so here's good collections of IMO. You can see getting under the forest duff into that, really collecting in this zone. When you get this nice white mycelia like this, it's great. And then these microbes will go up onto your leaves as well as in your soil and just be so amazing. Tilling is damaging to the soil, because what happens is your ground here has all these natural aggregates, all these natural airspace, and you think, oh, I want to fluff the soil, I want to do better for the soil, so you till it, and you're grinding up all these fungal hyphae that are running through there, and really a established process get ground up and smashed. And so this is like aired and like light and fluffy for the top 3 inches or 6 inches, maybe if you're deep tilling. And then as soon as it rains or gets moist, all this recompacts and the air, and it'll turn into mud. Versus if you run water through this system, the water will come out clean. So tilling can be really, really damaging to your soil. And so instead of tilling, what Master Cho recommends here is it's actually here that he recommends, instead of digging down and trying to put a plant in and having the roots ball up, Instead, burying it like this and putting your amendments on the top and having the microbes naturally reach down and build your soil fertility. So yeah, so it's, you know, and the machines take a lot of energy and everything to do. And, you know, oftentimes they put manure in the bottom and it's soft up here, but it really, you know, you can only go down so far and there's hard soil beneath in it. And we were talking the other week, Partita was talking about the oxygen being one of the keys. And if you collapse all your soil down, you know, you collapse all, like in this system, there's oxygen, air penetrating your soil. In this system, there's no oxygen. So the roots, as soon as they don't have oxygen, start to express disease. And so disease is the, you know, like lack of oxygen, choking. Think of that. Like you die, you know, within about 7 minutes, 3 to 7 minutes of not having oxygen, you die, right? And so same here of, you know, when you cut off the oxygen, hey, well, your roots may be growing up in the top, okay, but as soon as they get down, it's so tilling. All this is you know, the antithesis of natural farming, and so yeah, I'm glad you guys can listen to this too. Today it's maybe nice to see the visuals here, but going through putting, you know, if you don't have microbes on your leaf, you get all kinds of disease. So making a liquid IMO, spraying it up on the leaves, getting the KNF Protectors out there, you know, that recipe. And again, the rock or the paper breaking the rock, right? So last week we went through the IMOs and I talked about this. And one of the things that was the most surprising to me was this one here, which is something I always say, go get it from the richest environment around you, but also get it from your field. But it is better to collect in a slightly barren area rather than a nutrient-rich area. So I just want to reiterate that because that's something that, you know, it's really striking for me to see this because it's like, oh man, you know, I really got to promulgate this idea here of collecting from a barren area rather than a nutrient-rich area. So again, we talked about how to get the IMOs, cooking the rice, putting it in a box. Yeah. And Julia's talking about doing a little side-by-side trial there. So we talked about this, how to gather these, process of gathering the IMO1. These guys are grabbing the leaf litter to do it inside. You know, and there's a video on this, but we talked about this last week. So if you're interested, go back to that. And then these are the nice IMOs that they have. Okay, so this is where we're going to end off or start up here today. So, and Julia said she's going to do a trial with next season with KNF versus non-KNF with raised beds, 1 meter by 1 meter, no dig beds with wooden sides, cardboard, compost mulch. Any thoughts or considerations? No, I mean, you know, putting the IMOs, following the soil foundation recipe, putting those out. It sounds cool to try, you know, side-by-side trials of, you know, what you can do. I know Partita is also doing a trial. And she's saying that the fungus maintains organic acids, which maintains certain nutrients in a reduced form. For some elements, this means an available or not to our plants, depends on the plant. But if you want weeds, till. So yeah. The fungus will actually make more or less nutrients available, which will affect what kind of plants grow above, believe it or not. So having good microbes, you can actually suppress weeds because they make the nutrients not as available for the weeds in the quantity and the availability they want. So as you start to get more fungal, the plants or the fungus naturally limits your weeds. How far apart from each other would you place the beds? Question for all. I would say, I mean, if I were to take the beds, I'd put them at least, 3 meters or so. So that way, the fungus isn't going to go across and go into the soil and come up in the other one. 10 feet's a long way for IMOs to go in one season. Wouldn't there be more microorganisms with more nutrients? I've also read we want to go places such as forests with the most biodiversity. So I always say a barren, like go to the richest place around you, but also collect right on your land. So whatever you got, collect right there, and then collect from a rich area and combine those. But here, Master Cho is saying get it from a barren area. And the thing is, there may be more microbes where there's richer nutrients, but you're not going to get the tough ones that are going to deal with your soil solution, like your soil where you're at. So it's a balance there of what you're trying to bring over. You're trying to bring the tough, hardcore, like really tough microbes, not the like easygoing, it's rich here, like spoiled children type of idea. It's one way to look at it. We live where the soil is heavy clods, but get the microbes and plants in and it changes that. Yeah. So the microbes will actually change your soil structure. You're getting your first freeze tonight. Oh man, come to Hawaii. I have some aloe that probably won't survive. Does this aloe make good KNF food? Aloe makes amazing KNF food. So if you take the aloe, chop it, and just slit it up and put it with the sugar about equal parts, because the aloe is really juicy and really so between 1/3 of the weight or equal, it's going to be closer to equal with aloe, and it'll make really good juice for you. Yeah, hey, what's up, Post Up? Good to see you, man. I heard that deeper forest has more decomposing fungi. What are your thoughts on that? It's totally true. You want good soil microbes. That's why, again, when you're collecting your IMO here, the key is to look at this photo here. Wait, where is it? Which photo? Oh, this photo here, where if you're getting it up in this layer, you're getting decomposing microbes. If you're putting it down to this layer here, where this is dug underneath, this is where the soil microbes are. So sure, there'll be more decomposing microbes. My nose is really itchy for some reason. Sure, there'll be more decomposing microbes up in this layer, but down here you'll get the rich soil microbes. As they break it down, as the water percolates down, all those nutrients are making this soil. You look at this balled up soil, it's like, that's rich soil. If all of my soil in my gardens look like this, where it's airspace, it's water, it's everything growing, that's what I want, right? So get this soil right here. Yeah. So always the key with IMO is to get diversity. So here it says get it from a barren area, but then they're going to this rich forest to get it. So, go figure. The pictures show different than the slide. So I always think it's best to get from both areas. Get from your field, but also to get from this area and get down to the dirt layer where you're into this. So, yeah, and big biodiversity, your local forests, they'll always be out there. Yeah, and Master Cho would always talk about like the mother tree. Like there's one tree in the forest that's like the old grandma tree of all the rest. Collecting there, you're going to get even better microbes and this. So, yeah. And I think we overlooked the sapotrophs like Pseudomonas when it comes to decomposing organic matter. Yep, it's true. There's so much about microbes and Mycellium Running. It's on the shelf right behind me right there. Great book by Paul Stamets. So if you don't know what sapotrophs are, sapotrophs, look up Mycellium Running by Paul Stamets. And if your neighbors are spraying pesticides, also get a collection from there. So that way those microbes are already tuned in to dealing with pesticides. So get from a nice area and get from your area. Yeah. And yeah, because that way they'll already be adapted to chemical drift, all these things, everything coming in. So, and it's true that the Goofman's saying that fields will always be more bacterial rich and forest litter is more fungal rich. This is all true, but what you're after is this microbe diversity. And so there's like this fractal type of idea where if you collect, they will, through polymorphism, I think that's the right word, they'll actually fill each niche and get into this. So, so anyway, all these microbes will fill this niche. So the key here is that once you've collected these microbes here from your forest, you've got this great population. They come into your rice and form something like this, or whatever starch medium you used. Rice is probably a good choice, but you collect them like this. Then the next solution here is to go into the IMO number 2 here. So after you've collected these great microbes, what happens is that you take these and then you'd go through the process of what Master Cho calls IMO2, but I consider this just preserved seed IMO. Like here you're collecting your IMO seeds. Like think of you're going out to just gather seeds from the forest of all these microbes, and then you're going to preserve them in the sugar. So you need IMO, the one that you just collected, brown sugar. Of course, you need a clay jar. I use glass. I use half-gallon mason jars or gallon mason jars. And I use a paper towel on the top. So white paper and a rubber band or rice straw, which I don't, just use a rubber band or the jar lid itself actually to go. Yeah. Yeah, chemicals, thinking of chemicals as the enemy, it's not, chemicals as the enemy is not quite the right thing. Chemicals are just a concentration of certain elements. And the way to break down chemicals are to get enough biochar in your soil and enough microorganisms. And the microorganisms will disassemble the chemicals and turn them into, and store them in the biochar very safely. And so they'll bioremediate your area. So thinking of chemicals as the enemy is not true. It's just, I mean, not like it's, I don't think it's like a better way of thinking of it is it's just a concentrate of a bunch of nutrients that are over nutrients. And as the microbes break those up and make them more palatable, then like, for instance, like Roundup is a descaler. That's what they initially invented Roundup for, was to descale old boilers. And they would take, and so then they found out that it was a good herbicide as well, because what it does is it sucks all the, like imagine you had like a scale, like on your boiler, some sort of mineral deposit. It goes in and it eats that up and it solubilizes that and it pulls it out. So the same thing happens in a plant. Here's your plant, and you spray Roundup and it solubilizes all these nutrients and it pulls them out. And so Roundup, if you have biochar and microbes there and you spray Roundup, it'll solubilize all these nutrients out of your plant, but then the microbes will store that into the biochar. And so you can actually, like thinking of these chemicals as like, oh, they're bad. It's actually, they're just concentrates doing certain things. And if you have good IMO and good biochar, enough soil carbon, basically, these chemicals shouldn't affect you. In fact, you should actually get a benefit from them. It's when your soil doesn't have a carbon buffer and doesn't have microbes in it that the chemicals are really gnarly for you. Like the first 40 years of the Green Revolution, we had amazing production, where by green they mean chemical revolution, where we took all the chemicals from war and we put them onto our fields, they had amazing production because they had microbes and soil carbon, but the chemicals will eventually eat away the microbes and the soil carbon, especially combined with tilling, and you'll eat all that away. And so the key is to build that back up. And then if you use chemicals, you don't have this same negative benefit. You actually have a positive benefit. Not that I'm advocating for chemicals. I'm really advocating for like good soils, but I'm trying to just dispel this idea that the chemicals are bad. It's that bad soil is bad. And so if you have good soil, and that by definition, that's soil carbon and microorganisms living. And if you have microbes, that means all your nutrients are there because they're in the microbes, the nutrients are. You'll have everything you need. So don't think of chemicals as bad. Think of it as just, I'm going to outpace these chemicals with good soil. So IMO, soil carbon, and all these things, and yeah, so, and then Cheryl's suggesting that you maybe spray your KNF on their golf course and make the rough extra lush. So if people get near your house, they're like, oh, why is the grass so thick here? And yeah, broadleaves, all these things. And I think Partita is also saying that Roundup is also highly oxidized, so deselects all the reduction-based microbes biology. That means no more of the elements will be mobilized, so the plants die. Yep. And the only thing to worry... Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you guys are kind of getting this concept of the chemicals breaking down. The microbes do that. They're the grand disassemblers and assemblers. They're like alchemists of the soil. Yeah, I look at it as a war too, of trying the front lines of the fungal networks, building their lines and building it all. So anyway, I do want to get back. I know all that's good, fun, awesome, exciting. Thinking of this, of how to get the good IMO. But once you've got good IMO, the process is to put that into what they call IMO2, but I just call it seed IMO because it's so much easier to think of preserving your seed IMO. What you do is you put that into this brown sugar here, and the process is to mix IMO1 with brown sugar 1-to-1 by weight, and then put it into the jar. And when you do that, you're adding enough sugar to enough of the microbes that you're going to tie up all the water. You're going to super saturate the solution and tie up all the water. So the microbes are going to go through a quick fermentation process, about 2 to 3, or he says it's actually about 7 days here, about 2 to 3 days for me here in Hawaii, but about 7 days of a fermentation process once you've mixed the IMO and your sugar together. And during that process, it will select for all the good microbes. They're in this sugar and they're still growing a little bit before they completely get super saturated and there's no more liquid available for them, and they'll hibernate. So, and you keep this around 25 degrees Celsius is for fermentation, and cover that jar with a breathable lid while they're fermenting here. And they basically hibernate and go to sleep, and the best ones kind of grow. And so that's why when they do a little bit of diversity selection here. And again, if you fill up your jar, this point here, if you fill up your jar 2/3, you leave 1/3 airspace, that gives them the opportunity as they're fermenting to quorum sense with the gases they produce. And the paper lid keeps it aerobic, but keeps their gases in so they can quorum sense and really build their area. And people always ask about honey. Gil Karangdang says, sell your honey, buy brown sugar. Honey's worth more. It's too liquidy. It won't super saturate. And same with molasses. It's too liquidy and it won't super saturate. There's too much water in there. And the molasses will actually activate your IMOs as opposed to hibernate your IMOs. So both honey and molasses are no-goes on that. If you had dehydrated molasses, maybe that would work. But the whole idea is to have a little bit of moisture so that they will hibernate and go to sleep. and that's a function of supersaturation. If you're curious, click on my channel below and search for supersaturation, and you'll find a video on it. I think it's even in my top row of videos. So if you're not sure what supersaturation is, go do that. Bee pollen, I don't think will work either. Brown sugar's where it's at. So, yeah, too expensive not to eat it yourself. And Talina, I'm not sure what if the mother tree is a black walnut tree. Concerned about jug loan in the soil. So maybe don't gather near there. Gather where you think it's healthy. Use your intuition on that. But try to find the healthiest place you can get it from. I know there's other diseases, but again, like I'm saying, even if you collected an IMO here, IMO with a disease in it, you're going to go through this process of adding the sugar, and through this fermentation, these microbes should get rid of any disease-causing microbe that you may have collected. That's the whole reason for this. Why go through this mixing with sugar? Why not just go from this stage, where is it? This stage here of this collection, and then further bulk it up and go immediately into your substrate to make IMO, what they call 3, which I call propagated IMO. Why go through the 2 stage to preserve your seed IMO? It's because in this stage, it's sort of a purification step. That, say I collected some pathogen here, that if I mix it with sugar and I leave it for 7 days, during this, it's going to ferment and they will they will get rid of the pathogens. This is a purification step. So if that makes sense to you, that's what will happen here. So here it is. You picked it up and it looks wet because there's so much moisture because the microbes are growing. You mix it here with the crude sugar, which is brown sugar and or unrefined like turbinado type of sugar. Cover it with a paper towel, fill it up 2/3. And mix this really well. Don't just put the IMOs and put the sugar. Mix it really well in there. And then after a week, it'll look muddy. Mine always gets kind of liquidy. The rice remains to some extent. It's totally true. You don't have to pull the rice out. The microbes actually live in those little rice kernels. And you'll have this, what they call IMO2, and it will look like this. Here's your sugar being mixed to your IMO1, mixing it around. Then it turns into this kind of soupy mud here. And there it is being stored in this nice clay jar. And being stored here. So this is what they would call IMO2. I would also call this preserved seed IMO, because here's your seeds IMOs, and here it is preserved in the sugar, because he didn't use honey or molasses, and the brown sugar tied up all the water molecules, and it's preserved. And so yeah, everyone mentioning the trees they like to pick up under. So this process is really simple. To go from IMO1 to IMO2, you just go, collect your good IMO, pop it out, mix it, put it in there, leave it for 7 days, you're done. Real simple. The preserved seed IMO, very simple step. Not a whole lot of things. Key is to just use 1-to-1 by weight of brown sugar and put it into the jar. Cover it, do these things. Real simple, right? So after you've got your IMO2 now, and it's been purified and it's been cleaned and the microbes have competed in there a little bit and the best ones have won out, how do you go on to IMO3? And this is where this gets kind of complex. I'm not going to lie, if you're brand new to this and you want to just like have something that works, just make IMO2 and then add your IMO2 to water and add the maintenance solution into that and just make liquid IMO from your IMO2. Keep it there. If you go on to IMO3, which I call propagated IMO, this is where it gets a lot more complex. So if you don't have the amount of time to deal with this, you're going to need a full week of being able to turn your pile 3 times a day at least and watch the temperature and not let it rise above a certain temperature. So if you don't have that and you're not committed to it, just stick with IMO2. Just stay right here and then make this, and it's going to be great. It's just not like it's your good microbes. They're just not as strong as they could be. The whole point of going to the next steps is to really strengthen them and tune them to your soil, and propagate them from, this is millions to up to billions to trillions, right? So, and you saw Stonemason's pile earlier. He's doing a great job. He's maintaining it. He's keeping it between 110 and 115 degrees. And that's exactly what you need to do. If it goes above that, it overheats. So if you want to just stick here, stick right here, do this, you'll win. But you can go further. And this is the whole point that makes Korean natural farming like that top tier farming. It's like it's beyond, a lot of people talk about a lot of ways of farming, and I don't want to get like too like ego, like it's the best. Oh, look at me, I'm the best. It's not, it's just, it is the best. I mean, it's just, you're going in, sure, maybe there's better ways to do it or something. And if there are, let me know. Love to see side-by-side trials of that. And, but it happens to be really a good one of going here. So to do IMO3, collecting IMO3. I don't know why collecting, this is Kringlish here. Oh, any Tartarian fans out there? Yeah. So a shade that shields the area from direct light, right? So I do this in a barn where there's about 70% sunlight hitting the area. If you do this out in the open, it's too much sunlight. You want about 70% shade. Okay, that's what this means. Shade that shields the working area from direct light. So you could hang up a tarp. You could do it in an area that's covered. I don't recommend you do this under your house or in an area where the microbes will start to live and compromise your foundation, because they'll start to decompact your soil and eat rock and compromise your foundation. So don't do this under your house if you want to, unless you're about to move and, but anyway, so wouldn't just introducing the IMO to the soil be able to purify themselves on their own? I've read articles about milk where they inoculate salmonella and E. coli and the cultures take care of it. Yes, Alvin, what you're talking about is KNF Protectors, and they do purify themselves to a degree, but what I'm talking about is it's like sending kids to school. Like, imagine school was actually a good place, and it was the original foundation of like educating kids and turning them into good human beings. Like sending them there, it's an environment that's designed to make things better. And if you just say, oh, well, we'll just let the kids go in the bushes and they'll turn out to be good kids, it's like, maybe not. You might have some Lord of the Flies stuff going on. So we're helping out in this process, which would naturally happen, but it's even better when we help guide it this correct way. And in what, the milk, what you're talking about is KNF Protectors. So, and they do help. Okay, and then 808 Shibi's asking, what dilution rate of water if just using IMO2? I can't turn the pile 3 times a day because I still work. Absolutely. So diluted about 1 to 500. So, and you can do that by weight if you wanted to, or by, it's hard to do by volume. So just do it by weight. So, figure out what 1 gallon of water weighs, and I think it's like 7 point something pounds, 8 pounds, and then dilute it around 1 to 500 into there, with everything else. And in fact, I mean, your classic, how do I make liquid IMO? I'll go to the book here. Hang on, I should probably, well, okay, I'll just go to it this way, and going to where, why is it not here? Why is it not there? It's not there. Well, just make this right here. make this soil formula right here and add in 1 to 500 of the IMO. So add this soil foundation recipe and add in that. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. And a dedicated washing machine and have it turn on every X hours is maybe more like a dryer where it's going to tumble it. Washing machine, I don't think would do it, but a dryer, a tumbler type of thing. And the whole key is actually to do it on soil and to turn it in. So we'll go through the IMO3 process because I'm kind of getting ahead of how to automate this, but let it probe, nice name there, saying I had the pile get over 140 twice. Do I just throw it away or can I keep it first time trying to do my IMO3? It depends how long it was above 120, because if it goes up to 140, you're growing a different set of microbes. You're growing these opportunistic ones that are not your soil microbes. They're not the microbes you're looking for. So if it's above 140 for a long time, your piles starts to change of what microbes are growing there. And it'll start to smell like asphalt, and you're getting actinomycetes, and those microbes actually eat other microbes. They're more of a cleaning microbe. So all your good soil microbes the longer it's above 120, those actinomycetes are then eating your other microbes and using them as a food source. And so then when you use that, you're getting actinomycetes. You're not putting out your soil-based microbes. So it depends how long it was above 120, and your nose knows, but in order to tune your nose in, you have to, know what it smells like. And that's what I teach here at this, that's why I do teachings in person. It's like, here's the internet. I'm trying to tell you this, but your nose got to know. Actinomycetes smell like asphalt, versus the ones you're looking for smell like the forest floor. So do you just throw it away? No, it's still going to be good for stuff, but you're going to be putting out actinomycetes versus putting out your soil microbes, depending on how long it was above 140. So it's not a complete disaster if it rises above 120, but it's not recommended because the longer it's there, the quicker they decompose. Yes, and cyclopath, you're right. Metric is so much easier. 1 liter equals 1 kilo, easy. Done. Yes, exactly. Measure in metric. Why gallons? Why tablespoons? I don't know. Just do it all in metric. So easy. Yeah, and if it heated up, forest. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna get back to this here because slightly sour smell. The sour smell is probably actinomycetes. Be careful. I know it depends what kind of sour. There's like sourdough sour. There's lactobacillus sour. So yeah, Alvin, go watch some of the past episodes, man. I talked about that a lot. I want to stick to this and get through this. I can talk about water maybe next time to start, but I only got like 2 more minutes here, the office hour. And so instead of going into water here, I'll talk about water. I'll write it down here. And next week, I will talk about water. Where's my pen at? Here it is. And I'll just write that down. I'll talk about water. Because the water is a huge subject that'll take its whole time. So anyway, thermometer, rice straws, rice mats, fallen leaves. I'm not sure what they need the fallen leaves for, but so we'll go into this here and go to the next one. What tools? As the tool. So rice bran is what they're using. I've used wheat bran, horse feed, dog food, and wood chips, all kinds of things, some sort of substrate material that you need here. And then IMO2 between 1 to 500 to 1 to 1,000 of it. And this is where you can mix in multiple of them. And all at 1 to 500 is how I do it. I mix in about 3-4 batches, all at 1 to 500. And then your nutrient liquid, which is your medicine, your food, your cleanser, and this mineral A, which is basically seawater. Okay. Master Cho will talk about nutrient A through E, and they're proprietary things that Ju Young wanted to keep in the family, and so he, yeah. Anyway, so those are the materials you need: some substrate, your microbe inoculant, and the liquid nutrients. So method is to here. Let's see. This is an interesting one. It's hard to describe this here, but basically you're going to make these nutrient liquids, and for basically 50 pounds of substrate, you need about 5 gallons of water. So for every 10 pounds, you need a gallon of water, roughly. And you mix these into there. So say I'm doing a 50-pound batch here. If I mix in these liquid nutrients into there and then mix in the IMO into it in the water, and I mix it into the pile, I will end up getting a 65 to 70% moisture content. And then the key is to keep the temperature between 40 to 50 Celsius, which is basically under 120 degrees. And they stack the IMO up. They make the pile about 13 inches tall, so about a foot and a half, somewhere in there of tallness. And they say it takes 7 days. I find it takes between 7 to 10 days. And I think this is then when they're storing it after to keep the temperature, because I don't think that I'm not sure what he means by that, but here's a picture of it. Basically, once you've mixed all your liquid into this and you've covered it, don't cover it with a plastic sheet, even though it says this is not the best here. And you culture this, get it your IMO3. It takes about, here it is under an area, but this says preservation on it. But anyway, you turn it to keep the temperature below 40 to 50 due to fermentation, right? You continually turn this. And his presentation's as bad as mine. But here it is. Here's their rice substrate. They're mixing it in. They're adding the liquid into it. Here, these liquid. This is a huge one that then they're putting the straw on top. They got their thermometer in there. They're keeping it the right temperature. And then they are, here it is blooming out and growing. So anyway, yeah. So that's all he has on IMO3. And I think between this and that, maybe I should bring a better video to this, because and Stonemason saying, I like to make my piles in the fall and spring when it's cooler outside, and I can leave the pile all day while at work. And if I mix it thoroughly in the morning, yeah, and then spread it out thinner. These are all great considerations. Thanks, Stonemason. It's totally true. For me, I live in Hawaii, so it ain't ever cooler for me. It's always pretty much the same temperature. It has a blessing and a curse, right? Same thing. I work on my farm, so I work all day here and make it happen. So, yeah. And you guys are blessed to be out where it's cooler. These guys get to see okay. So yeah, the gallons and foots and inches are all based on sacred geometry and high-level Freemasonry. Because, if you look at when we graduate, we all wear a Mason's mortar board and all that, and it's a whole nother deep subject to get into, but largely Masonry is pretty pervasive and prevalent here. So next time I will get into water, talk about that before I get into continuing on with this presentation, get to the IMO4, which give you a little preview right here, right now of it. But we'll go through that and I'll show you a little bit more of some videos that make it a little bit easier to do. These is the IMO Master Cho's invention. It's he learned from a couple masters, and I'm not sure I could go back. I'd have to look. It's been so many years of learning and stuff to actually pinpoint the exact origins. There's only so much I can store in my brain, but I'm sure I have it in my notes of where he got this from. And bokashi is a similar process, but it's using effective microbes, EM, versus indigenous microbes. So when you're growing indigenous microbes, you have to be much more careful on how it's done. EM, you can just let it run. It's lactobacillus, yeast, and purple non-sulfur bacteria. You can just let it run as a bokashi. What you're doing here in bokashi just means specialized compost. You're doing a low temperature specialized compost. So it's a slightly different process in that. And a bioreactor, Diego. Must be Diego Footer on the internet there. So I'll take this one last question from Smoke40. Hey man, it's me again. I have an earth box and water from the bottom. Is that a problem for using the KNF foods? No, just make sure that you add KNF protectors to it, so that you're not letting those things rot, right? So if you're going to add, you can add these solutions down into your earth box down below, but make sure that on each one you're adding in the protectors, which are down here. These guys, they're right here. So add in the protectors in there. They're the lactobacillus. So add those in, and they'll keep it from getting rotten. Otherwise, it could rot a little bit. And EM, has Japanese, and KNF is Korean. Yes, you're right. 808 Shibi on that. So anyway, interesting going through Master Cho's presentation here. I think that's why it's always important to train in person, learn these things, because sometimes the presentations, even though I'm trying my best to translate and go through these, even that seems a little wild and weird to see. But I'm glad I did it in person with Master Cho. I'm glad we've turned IMOs and we've done all this. I guess this is my deliverance here of these obstacles in my way, or I need to create clearer, better documentation, better videos, these things, because this is clearly an obstacle for me. So my deliverance, maybe I'll have ease when I can point at my own learning material. I do teach here, and that's my easiest way, but to make it concise and have this learning material where you can just boom, there's the answer to your question. Just watch this video, right? And it answers 90% of what I'm talking about and goes through this. Maybe that's what I need to do for my deliverance. But big shout out to Master Cho, Pure KNF Foundation, everyone that does this, everyone that makes the world a better place, plants trees, builds microbes, cleans the water, the soil, the air, all of it. You guys are doing a great job. Appreciate you. I will be back next week. I will be, hopefully it's not Thanksgiving or anything. I don't know. No, I don't think it is. 7 days, 20th. Let me check my calendar real quick here and just see this here. There are so many tabs. Where's my calendar at? Why not that one? Okay, hang on. Let me check my calendar real quick here. Today is Sunday, yes. Okay, yeah, I'll be back next week. And then looks like the following week too. Yep. And then I will be December, just so you guys know, December I'm going to have a hard time being there because the 4th I'm going to be at the HFUU convention. And then I think I'll maybe be there for the 10th. And the 17th I'll be gone. And then so you may only get one episode in December, 1 or 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, much love. Enjoy the holidays. Want to thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, long live the natural farmer. Aloha. Much love to you around the world. Bye now.